Hey everybody, welcome back to the garage. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please go ahead, click on subscribe, and also click on that bell to receive all the updates and activities on my channel. Also, don't forget to check me out on Instagram. Alright, so for today's project, we are going to be working on this 2015 Polaris Axys 800 Switchback. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing the chain case fluid. This is more of a complicated process than what it has in the past with other Polaris sleds, because up to this point, Polaris has always designed the chain case to have a drain plug built into the bottom of the case, and then you would essentially just reach underneath it, unscrew it, chain case fluid comes out, put it back in, and then you fill it, and then you're done. Typically, that would take like 15 minutes. With the Axys, Polaris decided to delete that drain plug for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't understand. It was a pretty convenient feature to have. So what you need to do, and this is actually the way Polaris wants you to do it in the service manual, essentially what you would do is you're going to go down, get access to the chain case cover, loosen the bolts, pry the chain case away, and then all the fluid drains out from the bottom of the case, between the case and the cover. That's how Polaris wants you to do it. So there's actually two other ways to do it. The second way, which I'm not a big fan of, essentially we'll call it the suck and fill. And essentially what it is, people will use a transfer pump, and what they'll do is they'll go through the fill hole with a line from the transfer pump, and then they'll suck it out. I'm not a big fan of that, and the reason why is as soon as you enter into the fill hole, you're going to be hitting the bottom gear. And if there's any type of heavy material, shavings, dirt, debris, or whatever, there's no way to get the line in from the transfer pump past the bottom gear to essentially ensure that all the heavy material is coming out of the chain case. So I'm not a big fan of that one either. Number three is essentially more work than it should be, which essentially it's a disassembly of the chain case. And what you would need to do on that is to get access to the chain case cover, because the chain case cover sits behind the brake rotor assembly. What you would have to do is you would have to remove the rotor from the jack shaft, and then remove the caliper, and then you can then slide the chain case cover off the jack shaft, and then do whatever you need to do, and then put everything back together. So again, Polaris made it a little bit more complicated for us for doing the service. It is what it is, but you know what? We're going to go through it, and I'll show you what you're going to need to do. This particular sled does have electric start, so part of the process to even get at the fasteners, we have to remove the battery box, and basically take all that stuff out to get access to the chain case cover to loosen up the fasteners. Again, I don't know what Polaris was doing when they designed this. They didn't make it easier for us. So with that being said, why don't we get to work, and we'll start pulling it apart and go from there. All right, so now that you have the side cover removed, what you want to do is you want to remove the couple push pins that are holding the top and bottom pieces of plastic together. There's one right there, there's one right there, and then there's another one that you're going to see once you split those two, and then they'll come apart. And once you have those split, you'll be able to disconnect the wiring on the battery. So why don't you go ahead and do that, and we'll go to the next step. All right, to remove the battery, there's a shield that needs to be removed. The shield is held down by an 8mm bolt. There's only one, so just go ahead and grab an extension and go to it. And then once you take the bolt out, go ahead and remove the strap, and then that shield will come right out. Okay, with the battery removed, the next step is getting the battery box out, and it's held on by 3 fasteners. There's a Torx bit, that's a T40, and then it's held on by 2 11mm bolts. Go ahead and take those out, and then the battery box will pop out. All right, so at this point we have the battery box and the battery removed, and there are 3 bolts. What we're going to do is we're just going to loosen up. We're not going to take them out. There's one right down the bottom right there at the 5 o'clock position, 3 o'clock, and then there's another one corresponding over by the fill plug. Go ahead and take the fill plug out, so we're allowing air to go into the system to allow it to drain. So according to the Polaris service manual, what Polaris wants you to do to allow the fluid to drain out of the belly pan is actually loosen up the belly pan by taking out some additional fasteners. I'm not going to do that. I made a decision to drill a 3/8 hole in the bottom of the belly pan underneath the chain case to allow the fluid to drain out. This is my decision, so some may or may not agree with it, but you know what? This is just going to make it a little bit easier to do this going forward. All right, so let's go ahead and drain the fluid. Okay, so we've used a small pry bar to separate the chain case cover from the bulkhead, and as you can see, the fluid is draining out of the chain case through that hole into our catch can. I don't like this design. To be perfectly honest with you, I think it's stupid. Again, this is an exercise on space packaging from Polaris, and they really didn't think about serviceability on the to do this basic maintenance. It's kind of dumb how the way they expect you to do it, but it is what it is. So what we're gonna do is, I guess we're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes and let all the chain case fluid drain out of it, and go from there. Okay, so now you have to fill it. I'm using Polaris synthetic chain case fluid. Essentially, it's just 80 weight gear fluid. You can use whatever you want. All you're going to do is you're going to take the fluid, take your funnel, and you're going to put a rag underneath the chain case, and essentially you're going to fill it until fluid starts coming out of the threads. And once you're at that point, all you do is you just can put your plug back in, and that's it. You're done. So why don't we go ahead and put everything back together, and we'll wrap everything up. Okay, so that's all you need to do. It is what it is, but you need to do it as part of your routine maintenance. Just by comparison, I did the one on the Adventure. It took me all of 10 minutes, and this one probably took me about an hour. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, an hour out of the day, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Gives you something to do, gets you out of the house, off the couch. All right, if there's any comments, questions, concerns, go leave them in the comments box, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day.